Super. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Wedmore Parish Council meeting on Wednesday, the 21st of October, 2020. Item number 1 on the agenda is to receive any apologies for absence.
The only apology I got, Chairman, from Councillor David Huxtable.
Okay, we've got quite a few missing. Maybe they're having trouble getting in, but they'll have to come in a bit later. Item number 2, reports from county and district councillors. Well, David's not here, so I'll give you my little report. So I didn't have much to report last month because August was a very quiet month. This one's taken off quite a lot. I've sat in on a community scrutiny session with Sedgemoor District Council. It was a kind of a free-for-all, just a group join in if anybody wanted to, but it was instigated by myself because we talked about the neighbourhood plans. So Nick Tate, the planning service manager for Sedgemoor District Council, did a big presentation about how you did a neighbourhood plan and went through all of that. And then we more or less got to the nitty-gritty where they sort of handed over to me and said, right, well, you wanted the meeting, tell us what the problem is. So I sort of filled them in on how disgruntled we kind of feel that our Wedmore neighbourhood plan and neighbourhood plans are ignored throughout the country. And developers just seem to come in and walk all over us, and how we keep getting more builders, well, developers coming in and building with no regard to our lack of infrastructure. Anyway, I think they took on board a lot of my comments, and hopefully at some stage it might go to full council for sort of a conversation about it. But I very much got Kathy Pearce on side, who's the community scrutiny chair lady, you know, and we had a good conversation with cheddar councillors and all sorts of councillors from Sedgemoor. So yeah, they know we're disgruntled, and they need to sort of realise, you know, neighbourhood plans can't be ignored and trampled over. We have councillor drop-in sessions weekly. The last one I sat in on that I could join at Sedgemoor, we talked about the public space protection orders and homeless outreach services. I've held several licensing panels, so obviously being the chairman of the licensing and general purposes committee, I have to hold licensing panels, and they come about when there's an objection to an application, to a license application, and they're usually generally complaints from the general public who have a problem with stuff. So we did All Stars Bowl, which is for a new development down in Bridgewater, a place called Northgate, and there's a bowling alley going in there. So we granted them an application, but the locals had got a bit cross about certain things. But I think it's more fear of change. I think it'll just make things a bit more upmarket. So we granted a license, an alcohol license there, and we had some conditions in that to stop the off sales alcohol. So off license kind of sales from 10 p.m. So hopefully, you know, and if things go wrong in that situation, if people don't stick to their licensing rules, then, you know, people can basically report them and we can revoke the license. So, and there was another one for Ocean Adventures in Cheddar, which we refused originally. It's a soft play centre. We didn't understand why alcohol needed to be sold at a kids' soft play. However, they appealed to the magistrate, and they've changed their hours for alcohol to sell it only from 5 to 8 p.m. and only sold with a meal and only while seated, and they can't leave the booze unattended and no alcohol on display. So actually they changed a lot of their plans. So we ended up granted that license. I've sat on a grants awards subcommittee, which is another committee I sit on Sedgemoor. There was some RLT money for Ashcott Coronation Playing Fields. They applied for the last of the money in the funds from the Poldon Cluster Group. They applied and were awarded nearly £12,000, which will go to tarmacking their car park. Their total project cost was £14,000, so they have to find funds from other places. We looked at the RLT2 money just for information, and we had one project grant in, which was £2,500. We've had a full council meeting, but it was a confidential session, so I can't tell you anything about it. I spoke at a planning committee along with lovely Sue, and we got a local chap his planning after the planners said that he couldn't have it. So we actually turned that around. So that's a win for us. So we're very pleased with ourselves. And I've had lots of local people getting in touch with me about planning issues, some rat issues in Grants Lane, which isn't great. And also I was hoping David would be here because he's not responded to my request about the yellow lines, which have meant to be finished in various places, and the signage going up to Hugh Sex's Middle School. So they've gone really quiet on me. No one's responding to my emails, so I'll keep hassling him. So that's a basic what I've been doing as a district councillor. I don't like to talk too much about it because it just drags on, but there we are. I've given you a bit more information so people know that I do some stuff in the village. Right, item number 3, to record any declarations of interest.
None that I'm aware of, Chairman.
No, brilliant, okay. Item number 4, minutes of the meeting held on the 16th of September.
They have been circulated. There was one amendment which was raised by Alistair, which has been altered now, and I think that's correct. So if everybody's happy, we'll sign them tomorrow. Brilliant. Okay. Doesn't seem like anybody isn't happy, so that's perfect. Item number 5, matters arising. So first of all, we've got the SIL policy update. So I guess we move to Alistair?
Sorry, I missed that.
The SIL policy update.
Oh, right, okay. Okay, well, I've circulated quite a long paper of the projects that I trawled through the neighbourhood plan as being matters of concern to residents that were recorded during the neighbourhood plan process. But I did invite others to send me their ideas for projects, and so they're all tabulated there. I don't intend to go through them one by one, but really I think the idea that I had was that if we had a long list to choose from, we could then pick some to get on with and review it from time to time. And because of the fact that in the last few days, I've had more information from county about 20-mile-an-hour limits and speed in particular. I was hoping David would be here because what I don't have is a good idea of how much a 20-mile-an-hour project costs, but all the cost, 100% of the cost would fall on us, the Parish Council. And they have a sort of starter for £10,000. So I'm imagining that the project, I have no idea really, but I don't think you're going to get much change out of about 40, 50,000 if we go in that direction. So that adds to the list. That isn't actually included on the list. It would come up somewhere else as well. David and I had a wander around looking at 20-mile-an-hour ideas, and oddly enough afterwards found that there's limits and zones. A 20-mile-an-hour limit area is where traffic travels relatively slowly already, but it is just a reminder to keep the speed down, and that would apply, I would think, to the centre of the village particularly. And then there's a 20-mile-an-hour limits zone scheme, and the idea of the zone is that you reduce the speed on all the roads within it to about 20 miles an hour. So it needs traffic calming as well as all the 20-mile-an-hour side. So that would be a much more expensive scheme. The other thing, and I did circulate a little note just to give you a bit of a flavour of what's involved, all the legality side of things. And it looks as if it would take, from the date that we push the button, decide to go for it, it would take about a year to reach completion. So those are the projects. Now, I did make some recommendations. So if I just cover those, Pilcorn Street, I think we're going to talk about some other time, but I've concluded that probably we're not going to have enough money to do that if we wanted to do it ourselves. And if the planning application goes through, we may get it done for us. So it doesn't seem to be worth pursuing that at this time. The Cheddar Road scheme, David Huxtable assures me that he can get it paid for, but he didn't rule out if money was tight, he might seek a contribution. So we may have that to think about. And that also applies to the Billings Hill Corner project. And then moving on, the footpath scheme, which Sean's is already in the first stages of getting going. I was going to allocate a relatively small sum for that, just to ensure that he had enough equipment, training, and to get a band of volunteers working on a programme to do some of the parts. I don't think it would do them all, but so that was another one. And the project to try and bring forward the cycleway, I don't know where the funding might come from that, but to make a compelling case, it may need some work doing, either in survey work or getting some estimates together, or even really trying to get the legal side worked up. May involve some consultancy fees, which we need. That would be an upfront payment, and that would seem entirely appropriate for SIL as well. The others, which are all very good schemes, I've either suggested that other means through our own grant system, in the case of the small ones. And I have to tell you that the village sign project has been withdrawn. David Ewens has told me that now he's found out that the existing signs were gifted by individuals, he just doesn't feel that he wants to upset those individuals. I did ask him how long the signs have been there, and he said, well, it's probably about 30 years, but he was not, he's just not inclined to take it forward. So I'm dropping that one from the list. On the table, I'm not adept enough to make the two come together, because the table was landscape and the paper is portrait, but that tried to give a bit of extra detail about what the projects are about in terms of possible costs, what would be involved, and some assessment which Joe helped me with in terms of looking at them in terms of cost, usage, health benefits and sustainability. So that's the paper. At this stage, nothing more is happening until we decide a project that we'd like to take forward and how we're going to do it.
Super. Sean's got his hand up first, so far away, Sean.
Just the 20 mile an hour thing, is that something that is being mandated by the district council onto parish councils, or is it just for us if we wish to?
It was a very strong recommendation in the neighbourhood plan, which you may recall was signed up to by 85% of the people who voted. And there are people sitting around this table, this virtual table tonight, who are keen to take that forward. And so it is something that I think we need to get to the bottom of it, whether you know, to make a positive decision to either pursue it or not to pursue it for whatever reason. But it does seem that the public want that, and that's something we need to take on board.
In Brighton, there's a lot of 20 mile an hours, but there are signs in the road, painted onto the road, because they didn't want to increase the amount of sort of aerial signage, if you like, and it will really spoil the nature of the village if we start putting up 20s everywhere. Maybe the costs could come down considerably if we were doing stuff in the road. I don't know, but that seemed to work in Brighton.
Yeah,
it's going to look ugly, I think. But never mind. I think my personal opinion.
In the process, it's designed by the county council, so I can't really comment on what criteria they would use, but that's something, a suggestion we can make.
Yeah, apart from we know full well that when they paint anything, it doesn't last 5 seconds because the, the yellow lines by the village hall wore down within about 4 months. So they'd have to do a pretty good job. But I kind of agree. I think it'd be much nicer to paint it on the road rather than have signs everywhere. And anybody got any questions for Alistair?
Yeah.
David, you have.
Well, no, I was just going to add a comment to that. I mean, if you read what Alistair said, and you know, I say, as Alistair said, him and I had a long walk around the village one morning and a good look around. And but if you read what the council have said, is, you know, they've said that a lot of villages come up with the idea that they want a 20-mile-an-hour limit, and you know, and I'm coming from Bristol, as I've said before, where half the city is 20 mile an hour. I'm quite okay to, you know, with us supporting it. However, they do say that, you know, to go back to the village at a moment in time and make sure that those that have voted for it in the first instance realise what will happen to the look of the village. And as Sean says, a lot of villages, after they've done that, the local people turn around and say, well, okay, then we'll live with it, because they don't want the view, you know, the aspect of the village spoilt by 20-mile-an-hour signs all over the place. So that is mentioned as by Somerset Council as a particular point, and it's very valid, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're as Alistair indicated. I mean, they say that a 20-mile-an-hour zone, a 20-mile-an-hour limit, is generally only effective in areas where the average speed is 24 miles an hour or below.
And of course, you know, people aren't always going to abide by, are you? You have citizens, and then you're going to have the ones who really don't give a damn, and they're going to carry on doing what they do.
The silence tractors.
yeah, farmers on their phones.
But anyway, you know, as we've said, and as Alistair said very well, you know, it's in the neighbourhood plan. 85% of the people that voted for the plan felt very strongly about it. So we have to follow it up, and we have to come to some sort of conclusion, an idea, and recommendation to take back to people, and maybe let them have their say once there's a plan in place.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
okay. Anyone else got any comments? Should we move on to the next bit?
Well, there's just one other comment I could make, is part of the discussion that David and I had as we walked round, is we were covering the speed monitoring aspect, which we are taking forward, but at the moment we're only just beginning to learn. We're on the really first page of trying to work out how we get approval to do something, and because everything that is done in the highway has got to be approved by the county council from the outset. And we were talking about how we might do it, and it seemed to me that we have to have designated places where we do that speed monitoring. And at the time in Mark, they had put up 2 reminders of whether you were going over the limit or you were under. They were only there for a short time, but it seemed to me that if around the village, I perhaps should say villages, that we choose a number of places where we can put a device which indicates a speed warning. I gather that the professionals believe that it loses effectiveness after a week, and certainly after 2 weeks. So if we had these various places, we could move a device from one place to another in a bit of a rotation to try and draw people's attention to the fact that they're actually going much faster than they think.
I completely agree, Alistair. I think if we purchase, you know, 1 or 2 of these things, because I thank you, darling. Sorry, my daughter's just putting me off some wine. Having driven, I don't speed generally as a rule, and going down Mark Causeway, it's very easy just to push yourself a little bit. And I have to say that smiley face, yeah, and the sign, your speed's flashing up, is really effective. And I think if we had 1 of those or 2 of those, and we just moved them around the village, I just think, yes, with some people it would lose its effect, but I think it really has a good effect. So I'm all for us purchasing, looking into how much they cost and purchasing 1 or 2.
The two in Mark are still there. I mean,
yeah, they've moved them around, I think.
Oh, these are permanent. These are in the ground. There's two that's got thank you under 20, 29, 30.
Oh, well.
Thank you.
But I was told.
Chairman, it's on item 7. This on the
Oh.
Because I thought it was coming up.
Okay,
Okay.
sorry.
Let's move on.
Yep.
Jumping ahead. I thought it was. I couldn't see it. Right. Okay. Pilcorn Street update.
Well,
We've all got something to say because we've all been a bit bombarded.
yes, it's. I had two fairly uptight neighbours on my doorstep, living next door and just across the road, who were very upset about the fact that they had no idea that this proposal was floating around. One person was not interested in any view other than we're going to scrap the scheme immediately. The other person would listen and did understand a point of view that we are trying to encourage people to walk more, and we are by using it as a pinch point, we're also helping to keep speeds down. As a result, I was in conversation with Glenys at the time, so I told her that I was thinking of writing a note to my neighbours on a personal basis, but just to be sure that I didn't say anything out of turn, I did get Glenys to sort of cast her eye over it, which was I appreciated. So I have now circulated that. I've had no comeback, but the main gist of it was, first of all, that we were opposing this application. The second one was the extract from the neighbourhood plan, which said that this is a proposal that we as a community would like to see, and 85% of people voted in favour of it. So that's been my experience of it. I did have a bit of a shock when Brenda's letter came round saying that we hadn't objected, because I thought, well, now I'm misleading my neighbours. They won't be very impressed by that, but that's not the case.
No. Okay, I'm just going to tip in quickly here. So obviously a lot of people have called me and they're quite concerned, and also it's been brought to my attention, although we can't find it in any parish council records currently, that this has happened before in 2006, I believe. It might have been 2004, don't know, where a similar scheme was proposed, and the pavement all along in front of these cottages is privately owned by them. And there was a big hoo-ha because Somerset County Council hadn't done their research. Looking from the point of view of the residents who live there, I can see this will be actually a major issue for quite a lot of them to narrow the carriageway. Some of, one of them, they've got a gardening company, then people won't be able to pull up outside their houses. It is kind of a natural pinch point there anyway, because whenever I drive that way and there's something else coming bigger than a car, I have to stop if I'm approaching Wedmore from Blackford. And then obviously closer to you, Alistair, once you go past your house, Alistair, then the thatched house, there's, naturally it's a kind of a natural pinch point there too. And I know it's in the neighbourhood plan. I think our first major concern was getting that first bit of traffic calming done by Saxon Way. I think it's Saxon Way, isn't it? As you go into the estate after you've come past school. I think the whole point is to slow the traffic at that stage, because that's when it speeds up again once it's got through the first bit of traffic calming. And then there seems to be two natural pinch points. So we wanted to get the first one definitely done. I know that was a kind of bit of a deal I'd sort of spoken to Strongbox about if they got their planning. But I think we really need to take into consideration these concerns from the residents, because if we put ourselves in their shoes, it's not great. And also there is a safe route to walk to school. It would only take 2 minutes more to go up round the estate. And whether we put signage up saying safe route to school, because it is only one little chunk of pavement that we're talking about. So I don't know, the jury's out. Any comments? Welcome. Anyone put their hand up? Yep, Joe, go for it.
I will come back.
Number
because-
one,
Hang on, Joe's
number one. Sorry, Rod, could you let Andy Landers in, please? Could you let Landon in? He says he's trying to get in. Could you let him in? No. Also, so why my hand was up was obviously that the school have already designated the safe route. I mean, in the communications that I received, I got quite a prolific amount of communication from somebody kind of I knew indirectly who's got a property along that stretch, and she sort of collated all this information up for me and sent it over. And one of the things they put in there is that, you know, the school had already designated a safe route round the estate, and that they would be, even if you put something there, they would be unlikely to change that, because as they do go down to the church, it would be volume of children. And so they do go round, and they would continue to go round the back. And certainly, I don't think the parish council should be in the business of putting local businesses out of business.
Sorry. Can I
Go for it, Alistair. Yeah.
The thing that struck me about this, I've heard about this route that people can take. The thing is, they don't. And we're not only talking about first school children, we're talking about children who catch the bus at the bottom of St Medard, walking along the whole of Pilcorn Street to get to the bottom of, and then when the bus stops there, they go in the reverse direction. And the idea that somebody coming up Guildhall Lane will then turn towards the village, then go up the hill, and then round, and then back down, they're never going to do that. The mothers do it with their pushchairs, people with mobility scooters, and so on. So the other issue is it's actually most of the exits onto Pilcorn Street are quite restricted in their view, and I can't see anything to the left. Now, I'm prepared to put up with that pinch point being as it's designated, because if they're coming through from one direction, I know I can follow them out because they can't come from the other direction, and vice versa. But so it's not quite as simple as school children going up round the hill on a piece of paper in theory. What I'm thinking of much more is those people in those new houses that are built at Wedmore Grange, are they going to walk up round the St Medard estate? I doubt it. Will they walk down to the village and back? I gather it's 200 metres further, so it's adding quarter of a mile to that journey. So I just think we're putting a barrier to them if we don't do this. Yeah,
I see what you mean, but also there's going to be a bottleneck of traffic. I think it's going to cause chaos personally. Rod, you're waving your hand. You're muted. Muted, Rod.
Yeah, just saying Nan is in.
Oh, hello, Nandin. Lovely to see you. Anybody else want to say anything on this? I mean, I think we do need to listen to our residents as well, because if we keep an open mind, shoe on the other foot and all that, I'd be pretty cheesed off too. Joe?
I believe that there was, the last count, because obviously today or yesterday was the last time to object. And there was quite a significant number of objections to the application. And I think quite a vast majority of them did reference the Pilcorn Street traffic calming as one of the objections.
Mm.
Well, I'm in favour of it actually, so I'll put my hat in the ring on the I'm in favour of it brigade.
Well, I think maybe we're going to have to take some. Trudy, you can't say anything. Sorry, I know you keep putting your hand up. I think in a way maybe we are going to have to kind of come to some sort of conclusion about it, because I know the developer wants a kind of answer whether they're going to push on with this or whether they're not going to bother. We didn't consult with those residents, and we should have consulted with those residents actually. I know that was in the neighbourhood plan, but God, not everyone got involved in that, and not everyone paid a lot of attention. So Sean, you're waving your arm.
If they're not got involved in the neighbourhood plan, well, I'm sorry, but that's tough. And if 85% says yes, I mean, Trudy asked me to go and look. I don't know Pilcorn Street until I sort of walked it really slowly. and she invited me up there, and I could see the pinch points, and I'm thinking of kids, and as Alistair put, the extra people on that estate will not walk around an extra 200 metres. It's human nature. They will just take more risks in the road.
It's very similar to Blackford. So the safe route to school in Blackford is to walk down to the Sexy's Arms, cross the road there, and then walk all the way back up. Well, the people who live in the north end of Blackford, you know, aren't going to do that. But then potentially that's at their own risk, because the county council, or the school in this case, have come up with a safe route. So if people aren't going to take the advice of the safe route and the highways advice, then what do we do? I don't know. Nandin's waving his arm.
Yep.
The point was raised that this hasn't been mooted with local residents and whatever. But the reality is that this, I think, has only been a sort of a consideration up until now. And it's only with the Strongbox saying that they're going to pay for it that it's really become what I would call a concrete proposal. And, you know, I think until something is a concrete proposal, then it can't really be mooted with people. So I think the idea that it's just sort of been, that we've got to make a quick decision on it, really, it's all because Strongbox has decided to put in a bid for putting in 30 odd houses extra to the original bid, and against, I think, the neighbourhood plan. And in a way, the proposals or the plan to do that work should be regarded as separate things.
Rod, just to interrupt, can you let Jackie in, please? Yeah, I mean, I am worried about the chaos. It is. I see both points completely, but I also think about the traffic chaos it is going to create. And if someone wants to pull up outside their house there, I don't know what's going to happen. Sue, you were putting your hand up.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, being on the neighbourhood plan team, it's a real difficult one, this. I can see both sides of it, yet that road is so dangerous and people do walk it all the time.
Yeah.
And, you know, but having said that, what I will say is that we still don't want the Strongbox's houses, whether they give us a pavement or not. We don't want their housing.
No. Babs?
I do walk both ways. I walk up through the estate and along the road occasionally. And I think it would be very nice to have a path along the road. I think it would mean people could walk safely, especially with children to school. I think my concern is the pinch point outside the houses. I do not want Wedmore to become another Banwell. And that is my concern for that little bit there. I think it could be a bit of a Banwell situation, and that is an absolute nightmare. So that would be my only concern. The other thing is, actually, I was walking the other day to school with my son, and there was a bus that actually mounted the pavement 3 times while I was, and I just thought, my God, even if we put a pavement in, some people won't care anyway. So yeah, I think
they will drive up the parapet. Yeah. Okay, Joe, and then Emily.
So I just wanted to you know, following on from what Bab said, I just got thinking, if we're going to put in the traffic calming at the Cheddar piece, then we know we've got issues through Church Street, and you're then going to put this pinch point in here. You've still got huge great tractors, you've still got huge great lorries, you still have coaches. You're just going to cause gridlock throughout the village. You have to put this in a much bigger context than just this one little piece.
I have to agree with you.
Yeah.
Alistair, no, Emily first, then Alistair. Emily.
I was going to say, if we did move the entire village to 20 miles per hour anyway, maybe that would just make drivers a little bit more cautious and careful, and we wouldn't need to widen the pavement.
Yeah. Alistair, and then I'm going to...
Well, there's 2 points. One is the county council have engineers who can design these things. We're getting comments here from people whose opinion is that traffic chaos will be created. In actual fact, along there is only traffic at 2 points during the day, when the school buses are going one way and when the school buses are coming back again later in the day. The most dangerous time is not then. The most dangerous time is when the traffic is relatively light, because they go much faster as a result. The second point I was going to make is that on the Cheddar Road, I'm being chased by residents there to have a pinch point because they can't get out of their drives. Same problem with us. Yeah, that's the point.
Rod, where do we go from here? What are we going to do? Because I mean, I need to. What do we do? Do we take a vote on how we feel, or we just?
No, we can't take a vote on this. It's under matters arising. It's got to go on the agenda properly.
Okay.
So perhaps we'll consider something for next meeting.
Okay, I think we'll have to do that. Thank you, everyone.
I think we need to ask Alistair as chair of the highways to put something forward.
Okay. Can you do that, Alistair? Thank you.
Yep.
I mean, thank you for taking part in that, because it's, there's a lot of mixed emotions. I get everyone's, I get both sides of this story, and it is quite complex.
Yeah, indeed.
Lovely. Okay, let's move on. Proposed cycle route update. That'll be
Emily.
Is it?
So we have got a little working group, as you know, and we have identified many of the landowners, and our next step is to start approaching people just to see if anyone within the area that we've kind of identified that would work is willing to lease or sell or a strip of land between, points A and B. So that's where we are, and we'll keep you updated.
Super. Well, that was.
Thanks, Emily.
There's hands, there's waving, Nandin, and then Joe.
Where are points A and B?
Sorry?
Where are points A and B?
So basically from the lane, the lane that is opposite the first school to the lane that runs parallel with
Kelson's Lane.
Kelson's Lane, yes, and Wells Way. Those are the kind of, so we've identified a block of land in between that. So because the issue in the past has always been that there isn't a route along the main road. So this would be a route that would bypass the main road.
Okay, go across country. Cool. Lovely. Joe?
So I know it's difficult because obviously we discussed different bits at different times. I don't want to go backwards later. In the climate change funding, we had originally decided to leave out the cycle path because we weren't further enough along with the working group. However, having read all the application criteria and having spoken to a number of people on the working group, one of the criteria you are allowed to do with that fund is actually employ somebody part-time, whatever. So, and also you can apply in 2 tranches, tranche A and tranche B. So what we're proposing is that in tranche B, we would apply for a feasibility study so that somebody would be paid for some time of theirs, or maybe an ecological expert, to just understand how feasible it would be to actually do this path. Because then of course we can then make a judgment. Plus, if it isn't feasible, if we can't get these people to join in with this idea, we have done something. We've got something physical to show that we have put the proper effort in to make to get this sorted, because it has been an ongoing issue for many, many years.
Correct.
So that was just an update from later, but here because it's relevant here.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Anybody else? No? Okay, let's move on to the next one then, which is the emergency climate fund update.
So I did notice that this is on the agenda twice.
Sorry. Sorry, Emily. Sorry, I was going to say it's covered up twice. We could probably deal with this at the item 9.
Yeah.
I think it might be better to, in case people feel that they need to vote or on the idea, on the project ideas, or just so that we've got kind of feedback, if that's okay.
Well, item number 6 then, public participation. No members of the public? No, she's gone anyway. Item number 7, to consider alternatives to the current speed indicator device. Oh yes, well this was, I kind of got a hold of Rod about this one, because having driven through Mark and seen the fabulous sign, thinking, oh, why don't we purchase 1 or 2 of these nice flashy things and move them around the village, because I think they're pretty good. So that was what the plan was. How does everyone feel about that? Emily, yeah, hands up. Everyone thinks that's a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
So who do we hand that over to look for quotes?
Well, in a way, I'm doing that already.
Oh, super. Lovely. Thank you, Alistair. There we are.
We do need to link it with, well, we're taking forward speed monitoring as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
I do think this is the best way forward.
Definitely. I think at least if we can start slowing people down, then we're doing something, aren't we?
Try it at Field first place if you want.
We'd loved it. That's why I would like to get 2 in an ideal world, so we can do Blackford and Thiel and everywhere.
Yeah, it's a carrot is better than a stick. I mean, I sat outside the one at Mark for about 15 minutes, and people do slow down, and they can see the thank you. It's instant feedback. Whereas the thing over on the Cheddar side, it's 30, and this thing that people just don't know with quiet cars how fast they're going sometimes.
No, exactly, and I think it's
and just seeing that big thank you at 27, 28, it's a really positive carrot.
Correct. That's why I think we need to get a couple. David.
Yeah, if I understood correctly, Alistair, from some of the correspondence either we had or you circulated, the county council will put in posts for us to put these things on if we identify locations, and there are not.
You're freezing, David. You froze a bit there, David. We missed some of that. Oh. But yes, there's Somerset County Council. Okay,
well, you all froze actually. Yeah, so I mean, we need to identify the locations.
Yes.
We want to put these things, and if there are not suitable posts, get some put in, right? And thinking long term, right? I mean, I'm not thinking short term. So
correct.
Is my understanding correct, Alistair, that they'll do?
Yeah, no. I mean, I'm happy to work with David on this to try and find a number of suitable locations, put them to the county council. They will tell us whether they're okay or not. They have funny rules about you can't have them on lampposts, you can't have them on telegraph poles, which seems a bit bizarre, but anyway, there we go. So
I mean, we all know the stretches. We all know where a car would speed up.
So we'll come back with a proposal, which we'll then take to the county to see what they'll make of it.
Sounds great, Joe.
Okay.
What happened to the volunteers?
What
happened to the volunteers?
Well, I am going to continue with John trying to get the current device activated, but again, we need to get a plan together so that we can work with within the in a legal way with the county council.
Good, Sue.
Yeah, just to say about where to put this, because we've got 2 things now. We've got the smiley face thank yous, which we can move around. We've got our initial SID, and I'm thinking that maybe we should put it in Blackford first after what happened. We had a fatal accident with a cyclist in Blackford, and I think it would be prudent to put the SID in place in Blackford first before we go to Thiel. Sorry, Sean.
Yeah, well, there's plenty of things we can do, and if we get these smiley signs as well, they can just be moved around. But yes, I mean, Blackford definitely needs monitoring as well, because by the school, because there's nothing going on at the school. But equally, I am aware that John approached Joe to do Rug Hill too, so we've got to move these things around. Jackie, is that your hand in the air?
Yeah, it is. Sorry. I did contact Alistair yesterday just to say that Andy Reeson's happy to get involved as well with the SID.
Fab, the more the merrier.
He's very experienced engineer, so he will be, I think probably, as you say, the more the merrier, because
absolutely
we will undoubtedly change over time, but if we can get people that are in the area that are going to stay in the area that are willing to keep ball rolling, that certainly seems to be a sensible
fabulous option. Has Andy got Alistair's details?
I've given Alistair Andy's details, but I haven't done it the other way around.
Okay, well, let's get them talking, because that would be good. Rod, waving your hand.
Just to say that the original SID is still under my desk.
Gathering dust.
It did cost us £3,000, and it spews out lots of information and data, and perhaps we might just sell it at the end of the day.
I was encouraged that John was an IT specialist.
Yes, he is. So I think we need to give it a bit more use before we sell it.
Well, fair enough.
Okay, brilliant. That's good news. Right, item number 8, Worthington Woods and car park extension proposal update. Is that me? Did I say that?
Yes, that's you.
Oh, God. Right, okay, so I've got this cunning plan, but you might not like it. So there was a talk from our previous chairman about extending the car park. We have discussed this. It's going to cost in excess of £200,000. We know that Worthington Woods is about to be planted in November, which is a really fabulous scheme. I've been down there pulling nettles and in touch with Green Wedmore about this fab project. And as I was down there pulling up nettles, it occurred to me that we've got so many buildings being, developments happening in Wedmore, and I wanted to propose that we hand this space over to the Green Wedmore to potentially put a forest school there to encourage the children from the first school to go down and have a mud kitchen. Don't know. I think it should be, as it's Parish Council land, I think it should be an entirely green space, personally. All those hands going up. Rod's doing I'm going to do Rod and then Judy and then Emily. Rod, you're muted. You're muted, Rod. Rod, you're muted.
Just to say, we discussed this very recently, and we can't discuss it again for 6 months. So the same with the CIL policy, the grant policies. We did agree that we would think about this. So yes, that'd be a great idea, okay, but we need to sort of defer it. It doesn't matter about Worthington Woods going ahead, but the fact that we've already agreed to put planning application into the car park needs to be further discussed, but we can't discuss it until about 4 months' time.
There we are. We've still got hands up. Judy's got a hand up.
Well, I have been discussing it, I'm afraid. I didn't know anything about that. I thought I was asked to look into it. So I've got a meeting with Vanessa on Saturday. She's thinking along similar lines. She's got lots of interesting ideas. I haven't had a chance to talk to her yet, but we're going to have a little chat there about how the two areas could work together, and it could just be a nice amenity area. Again, forest school, place for the brownies and the guides to light campfires, and lots of wildlife and things as well. So she's got lots of brilliant ideas. So I'll see her on Saturday and see if we can get something moving on it.
Tell her to sit in the hands, because we won't be doing anything for a bit, for at least.
Well, they got the wood to get on with, haven't they?
That was just something that occurred to me, and I just wanted to briefly mention it so that we could, I think it's a nice outcome for.
I think it's a great idea.
Thank you, Sean. You've got your finger in the air.
Just, every time I've been down there, the car park's been empty, unless there's just. I mean, unless we do a feasibility study and see how many spaces are available throughout the day over 7 days a week.
Well, there was also that conversation. There has been that conversation that there are 4 disabled spaces down there, and actually, if you're disabled, how do you get to the village? Unless someone's pushing you in a wheelchair. So
Julie mentioned that to me.
Potentially, we could get rid of a few of those and create a few more spaces. So, okay, we'll talk about it in 4 months then. All right. Thank you. Okay, item number 9, Somerset County Council Climate Emergency Fund. Over to you, Ms. Mulliner.
Well, I don't know, Joe, do you want to run through where we are with the grant application? So,
yeah, I can do. So after the last parish council meeting, we met with, Emily and I met with Steve Muse and Vanessa from Green Wedmore. We looked at the list again. The list was sent back out to everybody just a day or two later. So you had all of that list with the reasons why we had changed different things. We've since gone on to read all the application things, and it wasn't as simple as putting a list together and sending it to David Huxtable. These application forms are quite in depth, as you see from the one that Emily has gallantly completed and shared around today. It's quite involved. You know, we've got to put quotes, we've got to put risks, we've got to put timeframes, we've got to put reasons, and obviously. And then we've got to say, justify why it fits the Emergency Climate Fund itself. So Emily did a fantastic job on the first one. The other thing is you can put in as many projects as you want up to the limit of 75,000, but they must start at 5,000. So we can't just put in an application for something for £1,000. We kind of had to then package them up. So the application you read that Emily sent round was the sort of green transport aspect. So it was to do with the bike stick and the EV points. And, you know, we talked about, Emily and I had a call this week, we talked about contingency in terms of maintenance and ongoing costs, which Emily wove into her application. We will then be doing an application form for the sort of footpaths and the walk, revamping the walks of Wedmore and incorporating the walk from Thiel into that revamp, and including costs for maintenance, again, of the footpaths and getting it up onto a website, mainly the Isle of Wedmore News website currently. Then we were going to have another project, and that will be Warmer Wedmore. So working with the Green Wedmore group, we've only got one house that we did previously, but under this fund, we're looking to maybe do 2 or 3 additional houses. So I'll put an application in for that. We did agree to join with the Wildlife Trust, Wetbury Somerset Wildlife Trust, and a small amount has gone to them under a bigger banner. Steve Muse did I'll send around the list of all of the parishes that are joining with that. There's over 23. Then in tranche 2, so again, there's 2 windows to this application. The first window opened on the 1st of October for 6 weeks, until the 12th of November to put the first applications in. The second applications can go in again in December for another window. And each one is looked at, and then there's a panel that look. So it doesn't matter whether you get it in early, as long as you get it in by the deadline, then the panel will look at them. And in the second tranche, that's where, because we want to buy the time, the application we put together, we'll be putting in the request for money towards this feasibility study towards the cycle path between Blackford and Hugh Sexy, Blackford and Wedmore, sorry. We spoke to Sam Brown about the bikes, or Emily did. And Emily's got from Sam that it would be nice to have a donation from the Parish Council, but they're not ready for any kind of grant money, that kind of thing currently. So once Emily and I redo the figures, it might be that we've still got money for another project. So we'll look back on the list and see what we've got left to maybe apply for in the second window.
So just to follow on from that, the first tranche of applications that we need to get in soon leaves us still with £54,000 that we can apply for. So between now and the beginning of December, when we start making those second applications, is if we need to think of any new projects that we want to add. And so the reason that we wanted it to be as part of the agenda where we can vote or make decisions is if anyone's got any, you know, reasons why they don't want us to go ahead with what we're doing, or they want us to consider a new project, then to please, you know, let us know now. So
I just want to say a massive thank you to you both and anyone else involved in this, because you know, I know you all work very hard and you've got jobs, and it takes a lot of time, but it's a lot of dedication and hard work gone into this. So thank you very much, and I think it sounds fantastic, personally. So thank
And
you.
fingers crossed, we get the money.
Crossed, yeah.
We're bloody better
That's it.
after all this hard work, I tell you. Or I'll be very disappointed with Mr. Constable. Fabulous. Right. Item number 10, to consider suggestions for improving entry signs. No, we're not doing that one anymore, are we?
No, Alice, as Alice just said, I spoke to David Ewins as well yesterday, and he wants to withdraw.
Okay, so that's gone.
Let's withdraw it.
Okay, item number 11, to consider accepting the revised grants application criteria. That's Alistair again. We're going to try to make you as busy as we can, Alistair.
I think if I just tell you how we came to a conclusion, we were a working group of 3. 2 of us could meet one day. Sue couldn't make it, so she sent through some ideas about things that she'd seen in the Sedgemoor grants system and suggested that we might incorporate that into the one we've already got. Judy and I had our own private Zoom meeting, or in fact it was FaceTime, and having looked at the Sedgemoor one, we came to the conclusion, why are we trying to change the Sedgemoor one, bits of it into ours? Why don't we look at the whole of the Sedgemoor one and say, why doesn't that work for us? And we came to the conclusion that if it was good enough for Sedgemoor, then it's probably going to be good enough for us. There was some adjustment made because one of the things that they put is, have you consulted the town or parish council? Well, that was something we obviously don't need.
Yeah.
So having agreed that, I agreed to doctor the Sedgemoor plan, retitle it Wedmore Parish Council, tried to adjust all the references throughout, and came to the conclusion that we would put it to this meeting as an alternative to the one that was in place. I understand there's been a couple of queries, one being about the grants to individuals. Sedgemoor seem to be quite happy to do that. But I understand, Rod, that there may be some rule that we don't do that. Is that the case? Can't hear him.
Sorry. Parish Council.
Say again. You've gone muted. Say again.
Parish Council cannot make grants to individuals.
Okay. Okay, so we can take that section out.
Yeah.
The other one was about schools.
Definitely not.
I'm assuming that schools are state funded and that shouldn't be funded by the parish council.
That's correct. The only thing is PTAs might be a bit of a grey issue, and I've already asked for some advice on that from Salk today.
In my opinion, the PTA, having run one, is a very different animal, and trying to raise money to do things for the children at the school. And if repairs to the swimming pool were one of the things that were thought of, I would have thought that was an excellent project.
Yes, I'm sure you're probably right. We can't provide books. We can't provide books and pencils.
No, absolutely not. No, not suggesting that.
No, I know.
It would be, having been a previous chair of the PTA at Wedmore School, I would absolutely love us to be able to support the PTA with fixing pools and doing stuff, and in the past I think I thought we weren't really meant to because it was schools, but if we can, that would be really fantastic.
So what I'm understanding is that we delete the bit about individuals, which is not difficult to do, and then we can go ahead and adopt this if that's the wish of everybody.
Sue, finger up, then Emily.
Yeah, just to say that we will include a little 2 items about the publicising the grant, because Sedgemoor have a whole section about it, which is reams. And I thought it'd be an idea just to steal what we had in the other grant application and stick it in, so that if they do publicise, then they have to say that they got the money from us.
Yeah.
Yep.
I agree with that.
Emily?
Yeah, I just had a couple of things to ask about, which was in the old grant application form, we'd included something about considerations to your impact on the environment or something along those lines, just to get people to make sure they weren't doing something that was going to go against, you know, our green charter or our, you know, hope to get to zero carbon at some point. So I just wondered if that might be, if we could consider adding something along those lines again.
Yeah, I'm sure we can.
And I also noticed that there's something in the notes about appropriate safeguarding policies and procedures must be in place for the sports clubs, but there's nothing for the arts groups or community groups. And I just thought that should probably be for everyone. Should any group that's got young people or vulnerable people, you know, anyone should probably have that applied to them, maybe. I don't know, I just thought.
Okay, fair enough. Babs, I thought did you put your hand up? No, scratching your nose maybe. Okay, so yeah, so if we could, you know, maybe consider some of the comments from our councillors, but I think that's great. Do we want to, can we vote on that now, Rod?
We can, because we've got a proposition
that we would like to. So have I got anyone who would like to propose that we take on this grant programme?
Glenys.
Glenys, that was Glenys. Anyone to second it? That's Judy.
Judy.
Okay, all those in favour, could you put your hands in the air?
That looks good enough to me.
That's unanimous. Fabulous. Thank you guys for all your hard work. I think that's much clearer and much fairer, and yeah.
That's simpler.
Yeah, much simpler. Great stuff. Okay, item number 12.
12.
Volunteers to order and distribute Christmas trees to local businesses and churches.
Yeah, Madam Chairman, the new members won't realise this, but the Parish Council always provide a Christmas tree for every business in the centre of Wedmore. We've done this since time immemorial. I just need somebody to undertake the role of ordering them and arranging their delivery. They're normally delivered to the St Mary's Church, and then they've got to be transported, as Sue Worrell knows, in a pickup down through Church Street in time for Wedmore by lamplight, which unfortunately won't take place this year, but I'm sure the date is in the calendar. It just needs somebody to sort of organise it all, and a team of volunteers, really. I've got a list of who gets a tree.
Glenys.
Right, can I just say, I think perhaps we need to update the list. I was going to volunteer to sort of go round to all the businesses and see who wanted a tree, and maybe Sue, we can sort this out between us.
That'll be great.
But we are going to need help on a Saturday morning or something to get them out.
I'm sure we can find someone with a pickup or a trailer.
Somebody with a truck.
Yeah.
A truck. Yeah.
We'll work it out between us.
That's brilliant.
We'll work it out between us.
Thank you very much indeed. That's lovely.
Brilliant, guys. Okay, item number 13. To consider co-opting a member to represent Wedmore Ward. This is your moment, David. Thanks.
No, he can't speak. I'm sorry.
Well, that's fine. No, that's fine. But you've been sitting here very patiently.
We have, Madam Chairman, we have two candidates at the moment, David Cox and Christina Brown,
yes,
of Wedmore Ward, and there's still a vacancy for Blackford.
Okey-dokes.
We can make a co-option tonight, or we can say we'd rather wait for more applicants. Is that, it's entirely
well, personally, I think the chap sat here listening to all this so far. I think we should co-opt him.
I think he deserves it.
He looks lovely. So have I well, do we have to do a proposal again?
We did a proposal.
I've got a Joe proposal.
I have circulated CVs of both candidates.
Yeah, we've all seen a CV. It's very nice. He's definitely under 70. Not that's no insult to anyone over 70, by the way. But
I'm close.
Oh Christ! So I've got Joe as a proposer. Who'd like to second that? Oh, I've got Nandin. Okay. All those in favour of co-opting lovely David Cox onto the Parish Council? Oh look, that's. Apart from David, where's David gone? Well, I'm sure he'll vote for you. I think
Bad luck, David. Bad luck,
I think
David.
that's unanimous. So, David, welcome. Thank you very much. And we'll all look forward to working with you.
David, I'll send you some information during the week anyway.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
what
You
it's
can't
all
change your
about.
mind now, David.
No, indeed. Thank you.
Brilliant, thank you.
If you want to switch off now.
Can we change that? I just seen there are 2 Davids. That's going to cause real confusion.
Yeah, by the way, David Curley, we just voted for David Cox to be a co-opted member of the Parish Council.
Yeah, sorry, I just had to run out. Somebody else was trying to call me. So that's why I stuck my hand up as soon as I come
totally
in.
good. Excellent. So totally unanimous.
You were voted off, David.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay. Item number 14, financial matters.
Yes, Madam Chair, just report that all the bills been paid this month. The accounts have been audited. Joe and Emily have checked them. Everything balances to the penny.
Fabulous. That's what I like to hear. Good job. Item number 15, issues and questions raised by councillors. I'm going to start at the bottom right of my screen with David. David Curley, have you got...
Not too much, please, now we're getting...
Not too much. Anything you'd like to raise? Anybody talk to you about anything? Any issues?
No.
Great.
No.
That's
No.
fine. We'll just move on.
No.
That's fine. Jackie? You're muted. You're muted.
Yeah, the only thing that someone's mentioned to me is that the sign as you go out of Wedmore into Latcham got smashed by a hedge trimmer a few years ago. And whilst there's one as you enter from Seal End, the one as you leave from Wedmore into Latcham is no longer there. The post's there, but we haven't got a sign. They just wondered whether we could put a new sign up.
Good point. Also, the one coming into Sand from Heath House is missing. So, Alistair.
So everything's there apart from the letters on that one.
Yeah, nothing there. The sign's there, but not Sand. I mean, I've wanted to write it myself, but...
I think we put enough on Alistair tonight. I've got a contact detail for those signs, so...
Okay, brilliant. So Sand and...
Latcham.
Mentioned.
Cocklake.
Cocklake as well. Lots of signs missing.
We used to have a Cocklake sign, but a previous chair said we couldn't have one anymore because people kept nicking it because it said.
Okay. Yeah.
My in-laws
did mention the other day it'd be nice to have a sign again because they thought it was quite funny, and I said it always used to make me laugh driving through as well. So
just do a symbol instead of the word then.
Yeah.
Jackie, anything else?
What they've had to do in the lane where my in-laws live is they actually have got it cemented into the ground because they live in Minge Lane and that kept getting nicked as well. So it's now cemented into the ground to stop it getting nicked.
I'm trying to find the emoji.
Turn the recording off. We'll have a further conversation.
For that, Rod. Nandin, any issues?
Nandin, you awake?
Where am I?
What's the question?
Now, the only thing that has been raised is members of Green Wedmore have been talking about planning issues, and I don't know what we can do really, but to try and encourage people to, when they put in for planning applications, to up the ante on the performance of the buildings. You know, a bit more insulation, more. Now, trouble is, this is a bit above and beyond building reg stuff, but I don't know if we could perhaps get it across that that's what we would like to see. I think it's probably something for a bigger discussion, but
yeah, definitely.
I think it's something that we would really like to do.
Okay. Next, Isabel. Any questions raised?
Yes, Mrs. Sellers spoke to me again about overgrowing of the brook down beside her. There's lots of brambles and things, and she thinks the wall's going to fall in because of the
not
roots.
again.
So she says.
I dealt with that years ago, and there was a guy who we paid, didn't we, Rod?
Yeah.
We paid for someone to cut it back. So can we get well onto it again?
Yeah. Where was this again? Sorry.
So it's by
Elslet Hall.
Yeah, where the brook goes under the road.
Yeah, that's it exactly.
I thought she sold the house, didn't she?
What's that?
Yeah. I thought she sold her house.
No.
Really not.
No, not her.
Okay, let's clear that again. That's just
Okay.
ongoing.
Thank you.
No problem. Joe?
No, just to say that we did get our lines at the bottom of Rug Hill.
Groovy.
Yep.
Oh, good.
Yeah. They
Lucky
were quite
you.
quick. I was told it was put through very quickly because it was an emergency. It was a safety, health and safety issue.
Okay. Judy?
No, nothing.
Glenys?
No, nothing.
Alistair?
Oh, I come out of order. No, I haven't got anything further to add, other than just to ask again about the planning objection we're making. Does it show that on the Sagemore website now?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Sean?
Yes, can you help me here as a district councillor? In the Isle of Wedmore News in December, we'll be putting something in about the new green government energy grants.
Right.
So up to £10,000, and there'll be an email, a website where they can actually go and some names of people on the green group who can actually give them some advice. Now, people on low income can apply for those grants as well, but they have to do it through the district council. And we have heard that Sedgemoor didn't actually get their application in time to the government to be allowed to do that. So I'm just worried if I'm putting something in the Isle of Wedmore News to say low income can apply for it, but Sedgemoor didn't get their information or their application into the government in time, then I've sort of got them interested in something which they might not be able to do. So I need to find out before the deadline for the Isle of Wedmore News that Sedgemoor
I'll
can.
get on to that tomorrow and email it to you.
Thank you.
I'll try and find out. Emily?
I just have one very quick thing. In my diary tomorrow, I have what looks like is written SALC climate event, and I can't find any information about it. And I was just wondering if anyone knew about that, or maybe my handwriting's wrong and it's not a SALC event.
No idea. No.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
I think there's a play area meeting tomorrow.
Yeah. This one's in the morning. I've got that in the evening. Yeah.
I think there is, but I can't make it. Babs?
Nothing.
Nothing. Sue?
I don't know whether we can help here. Sarah Wilcox came in, and Kerry and Tom Wilcox have managed to get one of the houses on Acorn.
Hooray!
Yes, they have. But they've been given 4 moving dates now, and they keep giving them a day and then cancelling it, and giving them a day, cancelling it. The problem is that they've got to get out of the place they're living in because they're going to refurbish it, the people who own it, because it's got damp issues. They're wanting to get out, obviously, and now they've been given a date in December, and they just wonder if there's anything we can do to say to Acorn, look, get these people in.
Okay, I'm meeting with Louis tomorrow on site.
Brilliant. So it's Tom and Kerry Wilcox.
Tom and Kerry. Moving dates changing.
I think they've had 4 now.
Okay.
And they're getting quite tearful.
Yeah, okay. I'll talk to him about that tomorrow.
Okay.
At Acorn. Rod, you got any issues?
Yes, just to say that I've asked Will to put our puppies up. Last year we bought these very large
yes.
for the parish. Neil Ellis took them all out last year. Obviously he can't do it this year. So I've asked Will to do it. He's gone off quite happy to do it. And they'll be through Theo Blackbird. And I've also written to Richard Neal today because it's a Remembrance Sunday coming up on the 8th of November. We normally have a big event, but obviously it won't be this year.
Yeah.
And I just said, if you want any help from the Parish Council, we will do what we can. So
okay. Oh, lots of hands going up. David?
I prepared myself. Yeah, Rod, Joe and I were asked to work with Richard and his group on the Remembrance Sunday thing. There's something going in the Isle of Wedmore News. It's going to be a much smaller event. with basically ex-servicemen only encouraged to attend.
Okay.
There will be a virtual, so there'll be a recorded event that takes place on the Saturday, and that will be played live on Sunday at the same time as the main event is taking place at the churchyard.
Okay.
So it is it's quite well covered. And Jo is saying she's going to update social media tomorrow.
Sure.
So there's been quite a lot of work going on behind the scenes, and I did a big risk assessment for them, and quite interestingly, some guidance came out from the government just last week, and it was almost saying almost exactly what we as a group of people had planned on doing. So that was quite pleasing. So yeah, there's an event, but it's much smaller, and yeah, nothing else to say.
Right, thank you.
Just one other thing, Chairman. If anybody's driven up Lascott Hill in the last 48 hours, you'll see that the bench, which is placed opposite the woods, has been smashed to pieces by a car crash, I think. Yeah, it was David Denby reported to me yesterday. I've been up this afternoon, I look at it, it's firewood. A new bench can cost us 200 quid from Summerlap. So I'm tempted to say, yes, we'll get one. And I'll get Malcolm Isgar to go and collect it and treat it and secure it, if that's okay with everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. Yes, everyone okay with that?
Yep.
Lots of nodding heads. Brilliant.
There's nothing else I've got in here.
Okay.
No,
Item 16, correspondence.
no, there's none at all. I've circulated everything I've got from everybody.
Okay. Item 17, committee reports. Cemetery.
No, nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing to report, no.
Facilities, allotments and footpaths.
Allotments, all quiet, all, going to sleep for the winter, just waiting to hear back from Rich to get the hedges cut.
Okay, and I'm hoping I'll speak to Louis again tomorrow at Acorn to just find out when they're going to dig the track back.
Yes, that's a good point.
I think they're probably, waiting for things to die down a bit because it'll probably be a bit messy.
Okay.
Sean?
I met with Chris East about Mad Woman's Lane and the battle between groups wanting to keep moving these big obstacles that Somerset put in. And there are some farmers who are very keen to actually make sure they do something that's quite permanent. So that these guys can't come through at 10 o'clock at night, 5 or 6 at a time, coming up. They're from Bridgewater. They've been identified by the police coming from Bridgewater. They thought they were from Bristol.
Okay.
And one of them said, my grandfather owns a lot of land around here. I'm allowed to do it. And the police said, we know who it is now. So that's
okay. Good start.
The other thing is, Chris East also said that the £9,000 that usually comes each year for the whole of Somerset to repair footpaths is now gone.
Oh, brilliant.
So there's nothing at all.
Great.
They can provide lots of equipment, training and galvanised kissing gates, but there's no funds for installing them at all. So that's something, Alistair, which you might want to bear in mind when we're thinking about, these groups like the Blackford. There's a gang of four, let's call them, from Blackford, who are starting to learn. The Ramblers Association are going to do a meeting with us to show us how to put in these kissing gates. It's basically digging a trench, but a little bit more carefulness when you're nearer a road. Please remember, this Saturday, there's a lot of people hoping to be walking towards the village hall to meet me and a few others to report any broken stiles or any suggested good arterial routes from Blackford or Theale into town. So we're not holding an event inside the village hall anymore. They're just, if they come past and they've get a leaflet or something, we'll sort of judge the participation of Wedmore and footpaths, see what happens. If you want to do a walk and suggest a good walk, see you on Saturday.
Cool, thank you. Finance and general purposes.
Well, nothing. No.
No. Housing. Nothing.
No.
Highways, car park, and brook.
We've not had another meeting. I'll need to consider how we take forward the decisions that we made at the last time about speed limits and so on, and I think have to come back with a way forward to make a determination whether we do or don't go for a 20-mile-an-hour limit. Other than that, nothing.
Okay. Planning.
Just a mention to ask Joe if you can put on Facebook that the Coombatch development have put in amended plans, and the number is 5020 00054. So if you could just alert everybody that they have put in amended plans.
Okay, thank you. Reports from representatives on committees. Ida, Wedmore News?
No, nothing.
Okay. Play areas, that's me. Yeah, we need to get an application together. We need to get some quotes and stuff because we want to apply for some of the RLT money to do some stuff in Blackford, really, because that's the play area that needs most help. And I think we're meant to have a meeting tomorrow night, but I don't think I can make it now. But there we are. And that, yes, we're getting there slowly, moving on with stuff. Salk?
No.
Wedmore Playing Fields Management. I believe we have some news on this. I believe we have 2 new representatives, potentially. Who might they be?
Happy to do it.
Babs, go first.
Babs and David, I understand you're both going to sit as our representatives on the Wedmore Playing Fields Management Committee. That is really fantastic news because we haven't had any representation for a little while, and it's going to be great that we can send people along to their meetings and work well with them in the future.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind, Polly. Who was up there before?
Don't ask.
Yeah, don't go there then, right? I won't go with that question, but I wouldn't mind just sitting down with somebody that's familiar with what generally goes on and expectations and so on, so that we don't go in cold because yeah, having not been to any form of meeting up there at all.
Ask them how the loos are.
Sorry?
Just ask them how the loos are going. Ask them how the play park bit's going. And that's it.
So if Babs and
I would go any further with anything else.
Okay.
I'll hold your hand, Dave.
All right.
They're all a hard-working bunch of people, and they have created some fantastic facilities up there. But
sure, no, absolutely.
We need some representation.
Yeah.
Rod,
are you both happy? I give Ian Monson, the chairman, your email address so you can read, so you can get all the minutes and whatever.
Absolutely. Yeah, no problem, Rob.
Really lovely to be able to work with them properly again.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, guys. Village halls.
Wedmore's working normally as far as properly socially distanced, but is open and is in operation.
I've just realised Pete's not here.
No, I think technical issue, I think.
Okay. Sean?
I was just going to say, can I butt in? Sorry, I was just going to say on Village Halls, Alistair, don't you have a new booking secretary?
Do you?
No, we do.
Who's that? Is that David?
David's
wife.
Is that David?
No, that's Mrs. indoors.
Oh, well done her. Good stuff. Sean, how's Theo doing?
Just people like Phil Butterworth and a few others have just received a quote from New Heat or something about how to possibly heat the building in an energy efficient way. So if you could just hand over £57,000, Polly, that would be great.
Yeah, that's all right. I'll just take that out of my personal account tomorrow.
Thank you.
No okay, good. Judy, twinning. There's no twinning, is there? Nothing's going on with
no, nothing's going on.
Keep away from French currently. Green Wedmore.
Just got some minutes here, and the amazing thing is, a year ago we signed up for the Green Charter and we got greater involvement, and then the climate emergency was signed by every council. Almost everything on the minutes here from Green Wedmore have been mentioned tonight in the Parish Council meeting. So there's an amazing synergy between the two. It's fantastic.
Well, and so it should be, you know. In the past, there seemed to be two conflicting almost boring parties, and it wasn't ever meant to be like that. So it's really nice that we're all working well together in our community.
Just one other thing, yeah, the national litter pick, which was very poorly attended. It was just a few stalwarts from Green Wedmore, and the person that was supposed to be organising it.
Me and Sue, wasn't it?
Me and Mike, yes, we were there, and Emily.
Yeah.
There was hardly anybody there from Green Wedmore. It was one person.
Was that right, Anthony?
Yes, that was it.
That's right. Well, the debrief was that it might have been too far out of the centre of the town. I don't know if people agree with that. I was on holiday in Italy, so and I think
they have a fabulous car park there. I'm sure that.
Well, it's just quite a long way out of the town, and there was a comment that there was
village. It's a village, Sean.
Village. There was a comment that a lot of rubbish was around the building sites. Somebody said, and maybe then somebody needs to give them a call and say, you know.
We've already brought that up at the last Parish Council.
Do you know what? I am absolutely behind you with saying we need to keep it more in the centre of Wedmore, because I went and did the route from the school car park up around Heath House and all the way down, not Flood Street, was it? Oh God, Sand Road and all the rest of it, dragging a bag because there was tons of rubbish from Heath House Crossroads up to Sand in the ditches. And I got in the ditches. I did do it in proper Virgo style. I did it properly. But actually, you know, when I walk around the village now, there's so much rubbish everywhere. It needs to be central, really. So I agree. But, there were more parish councillors there than Green Wedmore people, I just have to say.
Well, okay. I did one along our lane, Sean, and I picked up a nice big box with polystyrene in it that was addressed to Mr. Sean Thorogood.
Oh, that's right. Out me in a whole meeting. Could have spoken to me some other time.
Hysterical.
Jackie, I'm going to get you back.
Anything else, Sean, from Green Wedmore?
No, a lot of it was on there. What was it? Yes, just the green energy grant, which we're going to put in, and hopefully we can identify people that, and it might even come under, Joe, it might even come under the housing thing you're mentioning. There's 10 grand available for new energy and insulation. By March the 31st is the deadline, and it is a little bit confusing. They don't make it very easy to read, but that's about it. Thank you.
Lovely, thank you very much. Item number 18, matters of report and items for the next meeting.
Nothing from me, Chairman.
Okay. Well, I think we're definitely going to have to put on Pilcon Street, aren't we?
Yeah, I'm afraid so.
Yeah. I said I'd get in touch with the developers tomorrow to just let them know the kind of general feeling, because they're kind of like, are we doing it? Are we not doing it? But, you know, if they don't get their planning, they're not doing anything anyway. But I'm not feeling confident they won't get their planning, sadly. Okay. Well, that's it then. Thank you very much.
Sorry, Polly. I just got one quick question.
Okay.
To everybody in the room. Yes. Smart water.
Who?
Does that mean anything?
Smart water.
Smart
security.
Yeah, smart water. Yeah, the security thing, Rod. Yeah, has that been discussed at any length?
Never.
Yeah, never. A friend of mine.
Not in 8 years.
Okay, a pal of mine who's on a parish council for a rural village in Herefordshire has just been trumpeting to me how their village has adopted smart water technology, and it's water with a DNA embedded in it apparently, and you mark your equipment and bits and pieces with it, and if it gets stolen, you just scan it and it shows up, and they know exactly where it's come from. So I was going to get a lot more detail off of him, because apparently the police absolutely encourage this in rural communities in particular. So I just wondered if it had been done before, in which case I wouldn't have wasted my time. But I'm quite happy to get in contact with him and get a lot more detail on it, costs and stuff like that. So, right, fine, forget it.
Okay, well, thank you all for attending. Been lovely to see you all. I think we've had a very productive meeting, and I hope we can all just carry on and get some jolly good things done for our community. So on that note, I will close the meeting. Wish you all good night, and I'll see you all soon. Good night.
Bye.